Hi everyone, I'm Sandie La Nae. Welcome to Psychic Creations. We have a very interesting show for you today. The title of our show is called Scaaarry Halloween Facts. And today's guest is me, with a program titled Scaaarry Halloween Facts. Halloween is my favorite time of year. I decorate my entire home with ghoulish ornaments and trimmings, not leaving any surface or wall or ceiling space used practically. Our paranormal investigative team offers Halloween tours at particular haunted places in the area. And the fun part about the month of October, being Halloween time, is I get to dress up in all kinds of different costumes, and no one bats an eye. Every pun intended. Being I love this time of year, I decided to compose a list of scary Halloween facts for your listening pleasure. All Hallows Eve. Halloween is short for Hallows Eve or Hallows Evening, which was the evening before All Hallows Day or Hallow Mass on November 1st. In an effort to convert pagans, the Christian Church decided that Hallow Mass or All Saints Day, November 1st, and All Souls Day, November 2nd, should assimilate sacred pagan holidays that fell on October 31st. The colors of black and orange are typically associated with Halloween. Orange is a symbol of strength and endurance, and along with brown and gold, stands for the harvest and autumn. Black is typically a symbol of death and darkness and acts as a reminder that Halloween once was a festival that marked the boundaries between life and death. During the pre-Halloween celebration of Samhain, bonfires were lit to ensure the sun would return after the long, hard winter. Often, Druid priests would throw the bones of deceased cattle into the flames and, hence, bonefire became bonfire. Halloween sometimes presents itself with related phobias, such as phasmophobia, the fear of ghosts, wiccophobia, the fear of witchcraft, nyctophobia, the fear of darkness, and Samhainophobia is the fear of Halloween. The Lantern Festival is one Halloween festival in China. Lanterns shaped like dragons and other animals are hung around houses and streets to help guide the spirits back to their earthly homes. To honor their deceased loved ones, family members leave food and water by portraits of their ancestors. Halloween celebrations in Hong Kong are known as Festival of the Hungry Ghosts, during which fires are lit and food and gifts are offered to placate potentially angry ghosts who might be looking for revenge. In other countries, such as France and Australia, Halloween is seen as an unwanted and overly commercial American influence. Trick-or-treating evolved from the ancient Celtic tradition of putting out treats and food to placate spirits who roamed the streets at Samhain, a sacred festival that marked the end of the Celtic calendar year. All Hallows Day lands on November 1st, and the poor would go door to door offering prayers for the dead in exchange for what is known as soul cakes, which are more like spiced shortbread cookies. The first known mention of trick-or-treating in print occurred in 1927 in Blackie, Alberta, Canada. It referred to the awful term of seizing owners to oblige in giving candy, and about the kind of ritualistic vandalism that accompanied the holiday. Halloween is the second highest grossing commercial holiday after Christmas. At a general consensus about Halloween trick-or-treating candy, 50% of kids prefer to receive chocolate candy, 24% prefer non-chocolate candy, and 10% preferred gum. The other 15% got lost in the general consensus. The 2017 National Retail Federation published that Halloween spending reached a record $9.1 billion. More than 179 million Americans partook in Halloween festivities in 2017, up from 171 million in 2016. The top costume for children is reported to be an action hero or superhero, while the top picks for adults is a witch. Pets will not be left behind in costuming them. The 2017 consensus stated that 10% of consumers dress their pets up as a pumpkin. Jack-o'-lanterns. The jack-o'-lantern story comes from Irish folklore and were a far cry from the grinning pumpkins of the Halloween today. The original folklore version of jack-o'-lanterns were actually quite terrifying. They were carved from turnips or beets rather than the festive orange pumpkins, and were intended to ward off unwanted visitors. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the United States major pumpkin states produce over 1 billion pounds of this vegetable annually, worth over $100 million. Those states include Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and California. According to Irish legend, jack-o'-lanterns are named after a stingy man named Jack, who, because he tricked the devil several times, was forbidden entrance into both heaven and hell. He was condemned to wander the earth, waving his lantern to lead people away from their paths. The 2016 Guinness Book of World Records publishes that the largest pumpkin ever measured to date was grown by Matthias Wilhelminchen in his 2,624.6 pound pumpkin, weighed at the European Championship Pumpkin Weigh-Off in Germany. American Stephen Clark holds the record for the world's fastest pumpkin carving time, 16.47 seconds, which was achieved on October 31st, 2013, appearing on the New York Morning News. The rules of the competition state that the pumpkin must weigh less than 24 pounds and be carved in a traditional way, which requires at least eyes, nose, ears, and a mouth. Getting a bad rap. The word witch has gotten a bad rap in modern usage. This name comes from the Old English word witche, meaning wise woman. In fact, Wiccan were highly respected people at the time, being midwives, doctors, nurses, health agents, etc. The Wiccan had absolutely nothing to do with sorcery, the conception of witchcraft, or any other measure of negative connotations. In regards to conical or pointed hats that modern witches are depicted wearing, their origin is actually unknown. One theory is that it might have been an exaggeration of the edgeless hats the Puritans and the Welsh wore. Another possibility is that in Luna, a town of the Etruscan civilization, there were coins on one side depicting a goddess commonly associated with witches named Diana, wearing a brimless, cone-shaped hat. As of the Victorian era, fairy tales began depicting black-colored conical hats and crones as symbols of wickedness in their illustrations, becoming the depictions we see today about our Halloween witches. Black cats get a bad rap on Halloween because they were once believed to be protected by their master's dark powers, that being a witch. Animal shelters will not adopt black cats out at Halloween for fear they will be tortured in particular rituals. However, there is no evidence suggesting that people go out of their way to do bad things to cats on Halloween. But persistent rumors about cults and crazy people seeking to sacrifice black cats on the spooky holiday have been enough to make many animal shelters put a hold on adopting out black-colored felines. In regards to animal shelters, the idea that black cats bring bad luck is a total myth, but that doesn't mean these solid-colored kitties have an easy time getting adopted. All the superstitions surrounding black cats have a real effect on finding them a home, giving these cats some of the lowest adoption rates of all furry felines. Well, listeners, I'm glad that I took 2 of them. I love black cats. Homogeneous Halloween. Scarecrows are a popular Halloween fixture that symbolize the ancient agricultural roots to the holiday. Halloween has variously been called All Hallows Eve, Witches' Night, Summer's End, and Samhain, which means marking the beginning of winter. Halloween was influenced by the ancient Roman festival, Pomona, which celebrated the harvest goddess of the same name. Many Halloween customs and games that feature apples, such as bobbing for apples, and nuts, date from this time. In fact, in the past, Halloween has been called Sand Apple Night and Nutcrack Night. As an aside, in regards to Halloween food terms, in some parts of New England, October 31st is called Cabbage Night, from the pranksters who once roamed the countryside with cabbage stumps, which they used to smear windows with. Mirror, mirror on the wall, do you know that looking in a mirror at midnight on Halloween was thought to reveal a boyfriend's face? Yes, it is a popular event still. Young girls believed they would see their boyfriends' faces if they looked into mirrors while walking downstairs at midnight on Halloween. And Scottish girls once deemed they could see images of their future husband if they hung a wet sheet in front of the fire on Halloween. Now, according to some traditions, if a person wears his or her clothes inside out and then walks backwards on Halloween, they will see a witch at midnight. Harry Houdini, born in 1874, was a Hungarian-born American illusionist and stunt performer noted for his sensational escape acts. He was noted as one of the most famous and mysterious magicians who ever lived. Strangely enough, Houdini died at 1:26 p.m. on October 31st, 1926, in room 401 at Detroit's Grace Hospital, as a result of peritonitis secondary to a ruptured appendix. This was brought on by 3 abdominal punches from an attack by a McGill University student, J. Gordon Whitehead, in Houdini's dressing room in the Princess Theater in Montreal. Poor Harry was in pain for 3 days before his death, refusing his doctor's advice of immediate surgery. He was just 52 years of age upon his demise. He was a magical and Halloween legend. Because the 1978 movie titled Halloween was on such a tight budget, they had to use the cheapest mask they could find for the character of Michael Myers, which turned out to be a William Shatner Star Trek mask. Shatner initially didn't know the mask was in his likeness, but when he found out years later, he said he was honored. Halloween towns. Following are the 10 most amazing Halloween towns in America. The number 10 spot, Sleepy Hollow, New York, home to the famous Washington Irving story of the Headless Horseman that haunts the woods, written in 1818. 2 centuries later, the town still celebrates its biggest claim to fame. Formerly known as North Tarrytown, the village was renamed Sleepy Hollow in 1996 to pay homage to Irving's story and identify itself as the home to America's first wildly popular ghost story. Number 9. Partying in West Hollywood, California, gives you the chance to maybe run into a few celebrities as you enjoy festivities such as at the Halloween Carnival, Gatsby's Masquerade Ball, Haunted Rooftop Costume Party, and several pub crawls. Now, the tickets are as low as $13 and as high as $3,245. So get your dancing shoes all polished up for Halloween night. The number 8 spot, Orlando, Florida, home to the Disney World theme park, which is completely transformed for the holiday, boasting spooktacular theme parties, which brings about eerie entertainment and more Disney villains than you have ever seen in one night. Number 7 spot, Houston, Texas, is where you can participate in sizable Day of the Dead festivals, which has its roots in Mexico, with celebrations held for all deceased loved ones. The number 6 spot, Plano, Texas, has an attraction called the Dark Hour Haunted House, which can literally scare the tar out of you and show you a good time. The number 5 spot, the Main Street section of Anoka, Minnesota, is one of the self-proclaimed Halloween capitals of the world. Well, naturally, you'll want to visit a city that takes pride in an entire holiday. The number 4 spot, Louisville, Kentucky. The Louisville Zoo Party tradition is pretty awesome. A month-long Halloween experience known as the world's largest Halloween party. The number 3 spot, New York, New York is full of Halloween festivals and parades, such as the Village Halloween Parade, and it is the largest Halloween parade in the United States. The parade easily includes 50,000 participants and draws over 2 million spectators. Wow. I think we all need to go to that one. The number 2 spot. It can honestly be said that New Orleans, Louisiana is one of the greatest cities to spend Halloween in. It already has a deeply rooted history in haunts and voodoo. And the number 1 spot is Salem, Massachusetts. This town remains second to none when it comes to Halloween. It's the home of the Salem witch trials that sparked the phenomena that is still explored in schools across the Northeast. The town also embraces the past, no matter how true or false the stories of witchcraft may be. Creature features. How did spiders become a symbol of Halloween? It turns out that there is a surprising sentimental superstition about sighting a spider on All Hallows Eve. The spider story stretches back to ancient times. In many cultures around the world, they were revered as mystical creatures for their ability to weave intricate webs. They were depicted in folklore as storytellers, oracles of fate in the cycle of life, foretellers of financial wealth, and sometimes harbingers of death. At one time, people believed it was severe bad luck to kill a spider. It was only around the time of witch hunts, when common folk were petrified by the idea of witches, that spiders became a bad omen. Like other creatures of the night, they were associated with witchcraft. But according to medieval superstition, people believed that if you saw a spider on Halloween, it was the spirit of a dead loved one who was watching over you. I think that is a sweeter notion to something that usually makes us recoil in fear, right? Now, the owl is a popular Halloween image in medieval Europe, as owls were thought to be witches. To hear an owl's call meant someone was about to die. Actually, an owl hoot can be heard for miles around as they declare a claim to a particular territory and serves as a warning to other owls to stay away. Bats are the creepy representatives of Halloween, in the fact that they are generally nocturnal and they drink blood, right? Well, not exactly. Only 3 species feed primarily on blood, the vampire bats, while the remaining 1,300 species feed on insects, rodents, and nectar. The vampire bats are where the group as a whole got their connection to Halloween. When the certain bats were first observed lapping up the blood of cattle in Central and South America, they were quickly given the label of vampires. This idea was made concrete when Bram Stoker's 1897 story of Dracula depicted vampires shape-shifting into bats. Another unfortunate association bats have going for them is one with witches, who were believed to worship horned figures with wings, possibly bats. There are a few myths regarding bats. Bats are not blind, but have quite good eyesight and use echolocation to help them navigate at night. This is also the reason why bats will not get tangled in your hair. That echolocation abilities are accurate and can detect something as fine as a human hair. They are more interested in the insects that are flying around your head rather than you. Now, not all bats have rabies. It is estimated that less than 1% of bats are infected with the rabies virus. And bats are not mice. While they are both mammals, bats are classified in order Chiroptera and mice in Rodentia. Bats are actually more closely related to humans than to mice and rats. As a bonus Halloween fact, comedian John Evans once quipped, "What do you get if you divide the circumference of a jack-o'-lantern by its diameter?" The answer? Pumpkin pie. listeners, this concludes my personal autumn/All Hallows Eve program. I send you greetings for a prosperous and bountiful fall season, and to those who participate, a fun and safe Halloween. I hope you have many, many treats for the ghouls and goblins and princesses and superheroes that venture to your door, so no tricks befall you. If you
To the master bedroom where the vampires feast. The ghouls all came from their humble abode to get a jolt from my electrode.
They did the mash,
They did the monster
the
mash.
monster mash.
It was a graveyard
They
smash.
did the mash,
It caught on in a flash.
they did the mash.
They did the monster mash. The zombies were having fun.
In a shoot,
The party had just begun.
in a shoot,
The guests included Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. The scene was rocking, all were digging the sounds. Igor on chains, backed by his baying hounds. The coffin bangers were about to arrive with their vocal group, the Crypt Kicker Five.
played the mash,
They played the monster
the
mash.
monster mash.
It was a graveyard
They
smash.
played the mash,
It caught on in a flash.
they played the mash.
They played the monster mash. Out from his coffin, Drac's voice did ring. Seemed he was troubled by just one thing. Opened the lid and shook his fist and said, "Whatever happened to my Transylvania twist?"
It's now the mash,
It's now the monster
the
mash,
monster mash.
and it's a graveyard
It's
smash.
now the mash,
It's caught on in a flash.
it's now the mash.
It's now the monster mash. Now everything's cool. Drac's a part of the band, and my monster mash is the hit of the land. For you, the living, this mash was meant to. When you get to my door, tell them what is said.
Then you can mash,
Then you can monster mash
the monster mash.
and do my graveyard
Then you can
smash.
mash,
You'll catch on in a flash.
then you can mash.
Then you can monster mash.
Monster mash,
You in
monster mash.